The wind howled through the jungle trees. In the middle of the thick forest, under roots and broken metal, a small alien girl hid. Her name was Noxie. Her skin was pale blue. Her body was thin and small, no bigger than a human child's backpack. She had not eaten in 3 days. She had not seen her family in 5. And now, something big was sniffing the air. Close. Noxie pressed her back to the cold metal wreckage. She held her breath. Her tiny hands were dirty, shaking. The jungle floor was wet and covered in dark mud. She had scratches all over her arms. Above her in the trees something moved. It was huge. It growled low. The sound made the ground shake. She squeezed her eyes shut. "Don't find me," she whispered. "Please." This was not her home planet. Her people had crashed here during an escape. Their ship was old. The engines died, most of the others, and didn't survive. Noxie ran. She had run ever since. But this time, there was no more running. The beast's footsteps got louder. It was close now. She could hear its breath, heavy and fast. She peeked through the hole in the wreckage and saw it. The beast had black fur, giant red eyes, and claws like knives. It was taller than a tree trunk. Its mouth opened wide and long teeth showed in the moonlight. It sniffed, then growled again. Something snapped inside Noxie. Fear turned to fire. She saw a sharp metal rod beside her, half buried in dirt. She grabbed it with both hands. Her arms were weak, but her heart was strong. If she had to die, she would fight first. The beast turned its head. It saw her. It roared, louder than thunder. Then it charged. Noxie screamed, jumped out, and swung the metal rod with all her strength. It hit the beast's leg, a small wound, but enough to make it stop. It growled louder, angry now. It swiped its claw, barely missing her. Noxie rolled under a fallen tree. Her rod dropped. The beast stood over her, its eyes glowing red. Its jaw opened. It roared again, and suddenly, a loud crack rang out. A human man stood nearby, holding a flare gun. The light burst in the beast's face. It roared and ran into the dark trees, confused and scared. The man ran to Noxie. She tried to crawl away. "No, don't hurt me," she cried, but the human raised his hands. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." His voice was calm. He had a beard, messy hair, and kind eyes. His suit was patched and worn. A human logo, long faded, was on his chest. He looked like a scavenger or explorer. "My name's Mason," he said softly. "I saw what you did." Noxie didn't speak. She just stared. He knelt down. "You fought it," he said. "You didn't run. That's brave." She blinked, then fainted. When she opened her eyes, she was wrapped in a soft cloth. She was inside a tent made of old ship parts. There was a fire, real food, warmth, and she didn't feel alone anymore. She sat up fast. Mason looked over from the fire. "You're safe," he said. "That beast won't come back tonight." Noxie whispered, "Why did you save me?" "Because you reminded me of someone," he said. "Who?" "My little sister. She was brave like you. She never gave up." Noxie looked down at her hands. "I'm not brave," she said. "I'm just small." Mason shook his head. "No, you're stronger than you know." Outside, the trees were quiet again, but deep in the forest, the beast had returned to its den, and it was not alone. Others were waking, and soon they would hunt again. The night was quiet, but not safe. Mason stood just outside the tent holding a sharp metal spear. He kept watch while Noxie slept inside. Her tiny chest rose and fell with each soft breath. He looked at her and whispered, "You're tougher than most grown soldiers I've met." Far in the jungle, glowing eyes moved between the trees. The first beast had returned, with 2 more. They had followed the scent of blood, and now they were hungry. Suddenly, Mason heard a sound. Crunch, a footstep. Slow, heavy, not human. He grabbed his pack and rushed into the tent. "Noxie," he whispered, shaking her gently. Her eyes shot open. "They're back," he said. She didn't ask who. She already knew. They slipped out the back of the tent through a small gap in the wall. The trees were darker now. The clouds had covered the moon. Noxie clung to Mason's side, holding the same metal rod she had used before. Her grip was tighter this time. She was still afraid, but not frozen. The first growl echoed behind them. Then another. Mason turned. "Run," he told her. "No," she said, planting her feet. "We fight. Noxie, we fight." Her voice was small but firm. The beasts stepped into the clearing. 3 of them. Bigger, meaner. Their teeth dripped with dark saliva. Their claws scraped the ground. Mason whispered, "We only have one chance." He pulled out a flash grenade from his pack. "Noxie, can you run fast?" She nodded. "Good. You distract them. Lead them to that pit over there." He pointed. "I'll light the trap." Noxie looked at the pit. It was hidden by leaves and branches, just deep enough to catch something big. She took a breath, then ran forward, straight into the beast's path. They roared and chased her. Her legs moved fast, but her heart beat faster. She jumped over a root, ducked under vines, and skidded past a broken log. One beast swiped and missed. Another almost caught her by the tail. She leapt across the pit, just in time. The beast didn't see it. 2 of them fell in hard. Their roars shook the ground, but one beast didn't fall. It jumped over the hole. It landed in front of her, blocking the way back. Mason saw it. "No!" He lit the grenade and threw it. Bright light exploded. Boom! The beast shrieked and turned, but not before swiping at Noxie. Its claw hit her side. She flew back, crying out in pain. Mason ran to her and caught her before she hit the ground. Blood stained her small shirt. "I've got you," he said, holding her tight. But she looked up at him and smiled. "We won. Right?" He nodded. "You did. You were amazing." They walked slowly back to the tent. 2 beasts were trapped. One ran into the jungle, blinded. The danger was gone. For now. Later, as Mason cleaned her wound, he looked into her eyes. "You could have died." "But I didn't," she whispered. "No," he said. "You lived. And you made sure I did too." She reached into her pocket and took out a small silver badge. It was old, rusted, and broken. "This belonged to my mother," she said. "She was brave too. She was strong, like you," he smiled. "Then I'm honored." That night, Noxie didn't cry in her sleep. She didn't tremble. She didn't hide. She dreamed of standing tall, facing 100 beasts, and never running again, and far away in space. A satellite picked up the energy from Mason's flash grenade and sent a signal, one that would reach other worlds, including the one that took Noxie's family. The jungle woke with light rain. Leaves glistened under the rising sun. Noxie sat on a large root, her side wrapped in clean bandages. Her tiny hands gripped a cup of warm broth. Her eyes stayed on Mason. "You fought in a war?" she asked, softly. Mason nodded, sitting on the ground across from her. His boots were muddy. His coat was full of patches. He looked tired, older than before. "Long ago. Different world, different enemy." "Did you lose people?" He didn't answer for a moment, then said, "Not too many." They both sat in silence. The fire crackled, the only sound. Then, something rustled in the trees. Noxie jumped. Mason grabbed his spear, but it wasn't a beast. It was another human. A tall woman with braided black hair and a scar across her cheek stepped out from behind a thick tree. Her gear was newer, her boots cleaner, and she held a rifle but pointed it to the ground. "Relax," she said. "I've been tracking your signal." Mason lowered his spear slowly. "Didn't think anyone still used the satellite net," he said. "Not many do, But your flash grenade lit up half the sky. The woman looked down at Noxie. Her face changed. You found one. She found me, Mason replied. She's just a kid, the woman said, kneeling. What's her name? Noxie, the alien girl whispered. Her voice was strong, not scared. The woman's face softened. My name's Rika. I used to work with recovery teams, rescuing lost civilians after planetary wars. But this one, she's special. She fought 3 beasts alone, Mason said. Rika's eyes widened. She what? With a piece of scrap metal, he added. She didn't back down. Noxie looked away, shy. Rika stood and spoke to Mason, privately. You know what she is? She's brave, he replied. She's also from the Irani bloodline. Rare. Genetic code was rumored to be weapon grade. People used to hunt her kind for experiments. She's a kid, Mason snapped. Not a weapon. Rika nodded. I'm not saying we turn her in, I'm saying people will come if they find out she's alive. Mason looked over at Noxie, now sleeping again by the fire. She's staying with me. Later that day, Noxie woke to find a new blanket, stronger boots, and a tiny backpack beside her. In it were rations, clean clothes, and even a worn-down data pad. I've never had a pack before, she said, hugging it. Well, now you do, Mason replied. You're part of the team. That evening, she asked, why did you stay here? Why not leave this jungle? Mason poked the fire and answered, I came here to disappear. From what? My past. Did it find you? He looked at her and smiled. Maybe. But I think I'm glad it did. As the sun dipped low, Rika stood on a high cliff and looked at the distant mountains. Her comm buzzed softly. This is Rika. Location secured. Package is safe. But not for long. The girl is more than we thought. Far across the stars, someone was listening. The flames danced softly in the center of the shelter. For the first time in her life, Noxie sat by a fire without fear. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't running. She was safe and warm. Her small fingers were stretched toward the heat and her eyes followed the rising smoke. Mason handed her a bowl. Stew, he said. Not fancy, but better than roots and bugs. She smiled, a real smile, and took it carefully. Thank you, she whispered. Rika sat nearby, sharpening her knife. Her eyes scanned the dark jungle outside. You ever been warm before? She asked. Noxie shook her head. Never like this. There had been warmth before. Brief flashes from crashed ship engines, the back of her mother's arms, or sunlight between trees. But those were moments. This was comfort, something she didn't even know existed. Mason noticed her shaking hands. You don't have to eat fast, he said. There's more. Noxie nodded, but her eyes stayed wide. I used to eat like that too, Rika said. Back, when I had to steal food to survive. Always thought someone would snatch it from me. Noxie looked up. No one's going to take it, Mason said. You're with us now. She ate slowly after that. Each bite felt like more than food. It felt like someone finally cared whether she was hungry or not. When the bowl was empty, she licked the last drop and held it close to her chest like a treasure. Can I keep this? She asked. Mason chuckled. It's just a bowl. But it's mine now, right? He smiled. Yes, it's yours. Later that night, Mason unrolled an extra blanket. You can sleep here, he said. Noxie hesitated. I usually sleep in trees or between rocks. I don't know how to sleep soft. You'll learn. She lay down slowly. The blanket wrapped her like a cloud. Her small face relaxed. Her eyes closed halfway, unsure if it was a dream. Then her voice broke the silence. Can I ask something? Sure, Mason replied. Why do you help me? Mason looked at the fire. When I was young, I was lost too. I found a woman who helped me. She said something I never forgot. What? No one chooses where they're born, but we can choose who we become. Silence returned, but it wasn't awkward. It was peace. Outside, the stars blinked above the trees, and far away, a ship entered orbit, a ship with scanners, a ship looking for someone, a ship that had the scent of Noxie's DNA. The next morning, Noxie woke up and didn't feel pain. She didn't feel cold. She didn't feel afraid. She just sat up and whispered, "I'm still here." Mason handed her a cup of warm water. "You slept 10 hours. Is that good? It means your body finally feels safe." She nodded, then paused and said, "Can I help today?" Mason raised an eyebrow. "Help with what?" "Anything. I want to learn. I want to be useful." Rika smiled. "Well, how are you with fixing things?" "I can try," Noxie said. Mason stood. "Come with me. You're about to meet the best teacher in the galaxy, me." Noxie grinned and followed. Behind the fire shelter, hidden under thick branches, was a broken mech suit. Huge, rusted, abandoned. Mason looked at her. "Let's rebuild it." Her eyes lit up. Yes. From that day, Noxie didn't just sit by the fire. She worked, she learned, she laughed. And Mason saw something in her he hadn't seen in anyone in a long time. Hope. The clouds were gone. The sky was a sheet of stars. Noxie stood on a boulder, her tiny face tilted up. She held a metal antenna Mason had helped her fix. It wasn't big, but it was enough. "Ready?" Mason asked. She nodded. He flipped a switch. Click. A tiny red light blinked. The antenna began to hum. Far above them, satellites caught the signal, and far beyond that, something else heard it too. "Will they come?" Noxie asked. "Maybe," Mason said, "but not all visitors are friendly." Rika stepped forward. "That's why we keep the signal low, short bursts, just enough to look like a weather scan." "But if they're tracking me," Noxie said, "they'll hear it." "Yes," Rika replied. And they already did. She showed them a small screen. A red dot blinked. A ship had entered orbit. It wasn't human. It wasn't registered. And it wasn't silent. "They're scanning," Rika said. "Hunting." "For me?" Noxie whispered. "Most likely." Mason knelt beside her. "Look at me. We're not letting anyone take you. But if they find us, they'll have to go through me," he said firmly. That night, Noxie didn't sleep much. She sat by the fire and stared at the sky. She thought about her parents. She thought about the day the labs came, the day she ran, the day she was branded as returned property. Not a child. Not a person. Just a test subject. But now, sitting here, she had fire. Warm food. A blanket. A name that someone spoke with care. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. And she wasn't ready to lose that. At sunrise, Mason gave her a headset. "You're going to learn to listen." Listen to what? Everything. He showed her how to scan for audio waves, how to filter noise, how to recognize patterns in data. At first, it made no sense. But then, she heard. "It'll pulse a strange code in the static. Do you hear that?" she asked. "Yes," Mason said. "That's not a natural signal." "What is it?" "It's a code. Not human, not friendly." Rika stepped in. "I've seen that signal before," she said. "Pirates used it. Or worse, collectors." Noxie looked confused. "Collectors? They don't take treasure," Mason said. "They take people." That night they built defenses, traps in the trees, alarm wires, emergency shelters underground. But none of it eased Noxie's heart. She knew something was coming, and this time, it might not stop. Still, she kept working. Fixing the mech with Mason. Learning to read star maps with Rika, and writing her name for the first time in the dirt. Noxie Mason saw it and smiled. "That's yours now. And no one's taking it." She smiled back, but her eyes drifted to the sky again, because something up there was moving, and it was moving fast. The night sky wasn't calm anymore. It was burning. A streak of red fire tore across the heavens. Fast, loud, and angry. The ground shook as the ship broke through the clouds, crashing into the distant valley with a sound like thunder and metal screaming. Noxie clutched Mason's arm. "They're here," she whispered. Mason didn't answer. He just picked up his weapon and checked the charge. Rika ran to the cliff edge, binoculars in hand. "One ship," she said. "Light armor, small crew, but it's them." "The collectors?" Mason asked. She nodded. "Scouts. They'll search first, sniff around, then call in the big ones." "We stopped them here," Mason said. Noxie stood frozen. Her breath came in. Fast puffs. "What if they take me?" she said. "What if they drag me back?" "They won't," Mason said calmly. "Because I'm going to fight with you." "You're a child," Rika said sharply. "I'm not helpless," Noxie yelled. "Not anymore." Silence. Then Mason placed his hand gently on her shoulder. "Okay, then stay close and listen to every word I say." She nodded. Her eyes didn't show fear this time. They showed fire. By dawn, the jungle was tense. Birds fled, animals hid, and from the trees they saw them. 3 tall aliens in black gear. They moved like shadows, scanning every rock, sniffing the air, dragging strange machines that glowed with blue light. "They're tracking DNA," Rika whispered. "They're close." Mason handed Noxie a small box. "If they find us, press this." "What does it do?" "Electromagnetic burst. Disables. Tech around you only lasts 10 seconds, but that's enough to run." "I'm not running." "You might have to." Branches snapped. One of the collectors was just 30 feet away. He looked like a beast in armor. Long arms, sharp breathing mask, and red eyes that glowed in the dark. Noxie's heart pounded. She stayed still, didn't blink, didn't breathe. Suddenly, the collector's machine beeped. He turned and stepped right into Mason's trap. Snap! The rope pulled tight, yanking him into the trees. He screamed as he flipped upside down, legs bound, gun flying from his hand. Mason didn't wait. He fired. 1. Clean shot. The alien fell silent. 2 more! Rika yelled from behind a log. Shots rang out. A beam passed just above Noxie's head. She ducked, but one of the aliens was fast, already flanking them. He reached for her. Big clawed hands. Too close. Click. She pressed the button. A flash of white. Light burst from the box. His scanner exploded. His visor cracked, and Noxie jumped forward, grabbing a broken pipe and slamming it into his knee. He roared in pain, but she didn't stop. Not until he dropped. Not until Mason pulled her away and yelled, "Enough!" Breathing hard, Noxie fell to her knees. I fought him." "Yes," Mason said. "And you're still here." Rika took down the last one with a perfect headshot. 3 collectors. All gone. But it wasn't over. From the crash site, a new light blinked, a beacon, a call for backup. "They signaled," Rika said. Noxie's lips trembled. "More are coming." Mason looked at her. "Then we leave. Tonight. Deeper into the jungle. New camp. New signals. But no one will hurt you," he said. "Not while I'm breathing." Noxie looked around. The fire, the tools, the home they built. It all had to be left behind. But when she looked at Mason and Rika, she realized something. Home wasn't the tools. It was them. The jungle was quiet again. Too quiet. The beacon still blinked in the wreckage behind them, calling for more ships. Mason, Rika, and Noxie walked through thick vines and trees, moving deeper into the green shadows. The fire shelter was gone. Their old home, abandoned. Noxie held Mason's hand tightly. Her feet hurt, but she didn't complain. She wasn't just a child anymore. After 2 hours, they reached a cliff. From there, they could see a new valley below, wide, peaceful, and untouched by machines. Mason pointed. "We'll build there." Noxie nodded, but her eyes were scanning the skies. "Will they keep coming?" "Yes," Rika said. But now they know you can fight. That night they worked fast. Rika built traps with vines and spikes. Mason set up the new signal blocker. Noxie helped stack stones for walls. She didn't need orders anymore. She knew what to do. She had purpose. Later, she sat by a small fire, staring at the stars. Rika walked over and gave her a strange-looking tool. "What's this?" Noxie asked. "A recorder," Rika said. "Speak into it. Tell your story." "Why?" "So someone always remembers who you are." Noxie pressed the button. Her voice shook. "My name is Noxie. I was born on a ship I never saw again. I was chased, hunted, sold, and marked." Her fingers curled into fists. "But I'm not property. I'm not a lab rat. I'm not broken." She looked up at the stars. "I'm a warrior now." The next morning, a shadow moved above them. A new ship, bigger, heavier, armed. Rika's scanners screamed. "They're landing!" Mason grabbed his gun. "Get to the cave." "No," Noxie said. They stared at her. "I'm done running." She walked to the clearing, calm and steady. She stood in the open, alone, facing the dropship. Mason rushed to her. "Are you crazy?" "They're here for me," she said. "So I'll show them who I am now." The ship door opened. 2 armored aliens stepped out. They looked at the small figure standing in the jungle. Noxie didn't move. "I'm not yours," she shouted. "I'm not a thing. I have a family now." They stepped forward, raising their weapons. Behind her, Mason lifted his gun. Rika crouched in the trees ready, but Noxie raised her hand. "Wait." She stepped forward, holding the same broken pipe from before. "This is your only chance. Leave." The aliens laughed, but only for a moment, because then behind Noxie the mech activated, fully rebuilt, standing tall, glowing red eyes, massive fists, and a loud voice. "Target locked." The aliens froze. The mech took one heavy step, then another. Mason grinned. "I told you she was special." Rika chuckled. "She's more than that. She's ours." The aliens turned and ran. The ship lifted off, fast and clumsy. Gone. Silence returned. Noxie stood still, breathing hard. Then she dropped the pipe and turned. "I didn't have to hurt them." "No," Mason said. "You scared them." "Good." That night they celebrated. The fire was big. The stars were bright, and Noxie danced. She wasn't a victim anymore. She wasn't prey. She was a child, but also a warrior. She looked at Mason and whispered, "Thank you." He smiled. "For what?" "For seeing me."